Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of an F1 2021 My Driver Career Mode here on the channel. I hope you're all having a great day. Today we head to the most prestigious race of the season, the Monaco GP, and coming into this one we've got some R&D changes. You can see now the top four teams: McLaren for ourselves with this Vodafone team, Mercedes, Red Bull, Aston Martin, all nearly identical on the R&D chart heading into this weekend. Things are getting closer and closer. The competition ramps up heading into this Monaco GP weekend here, where we have had a strong start to this season here with a win, a second place, and of course a retirement in Bahrain. Ricciardo with 2 wins and a retirement, and now we head into this Monaco weekend and there's a bit of a curveball getting thrown at us for this GP weekend, and that is rain. For the first time in nearly a season, we will be dealing with wet weather racing here in this career mode. I think it's been since my home race in the Canadian GP of last season, since we've had to actually put on a wet weather tire in the GP. So I am excited for this one, but as you guys know, with the way Monaco is, with it being hard to pass in dry conditions, you can imagine in wet weather conditions, passing is going to be pretty much impossible, I feel like. So I know qualifying is going to be unbelievably important, even more important than usually it is in Monaco for this upcoming race weekend, and we already know this is already the most important qualifying of the season to really set up your Monaco GP. So we really make sure, hopefully, that we're in the top 5 at least, but who knows what's going to happen here. In practice, I was a little bit concerned actually. Most of these GPs we've come in and I've been confident. While I wasn't feeling very confident with my pace here in Monaco so far, I was having a tire overheating issue where one lap I'd be really good, and then my front tires, they would just skyrocket in temperature, and I was trying to make some changes, little subtle tire pressure changes and brake pressure changes and whatnot here coming into qualifying to see if we could combat that. But I knew certainly it wasn't going to be an easy task here to pull this off here in Monaco qualifying, and we would get things started right off the bat here. Overcast conditions here over top now as our first lap in session 1. It really wasn't that great, and the problem was I felt like I couldn't do much more with this lap. So we went P6 and we actually barely squeezed our way through into Q2. Look at that, by like less than a tenth between myself and Callum Ilott for the Audi team and getting eliminated. That was an issue. So the concerns were high. I made some more changes. I made some brake temperature or pressure changes, and I made some tire pressure changes in between the first and qualifying session and the second one, and it would be a drastic improvement. I couldn't believe how much pace we were all of a sudden able to find in this car. We come through to cross the line and we go P1. Unbelievable. We go from on the verge of being eliminated in Q1 to now being top of the board. Now we dropped down to P3, but I made another lap to be safe here in Q2 to make sure we could get into Q3, and we would go top of the board again. So unbelievable turnaround all of a sudden with just some minor changes, half a tenth between myself and Lando Norris, but this gets us through into Q3 where we have a chance to go pole. Now unfortunately Daniel Ricciardo, well, his lap, he screwed his lap up. He was down in 9th place, which is a huge opportunity for myself, but I don't know what happened between our pace in Q2 and our pace in Q3, because suddenly it had dropped off again quite significantly compared to where we just were a few moments prior in that second qualifying session. We would come through getting the DRS activated right behind Lando Norris. Some slipstream help here coming to the line, but we only go P10. We didn't do any better. We went dead last year, and I couldn't get a better lap in. So we would start this Monaco GP 10th on the grid. Ricciardo only in 8th. Max Verstappen, Gasly, Norris, your top 3. They have huge advantages coming into this. Let's head to the grid.
A proper road race, and in the true meaning of the word. That was how Mr. Monaco, the late great Graham Hill, once described this iconic event. The cars we drive have come a long way in the intervening half-century, but still we race on those same public roads beside the Mediterranean Sea. There's no victory more coveted than that of the Monaco Grand Prix. We already see the lowest average speeds of the season here at the Circuit de Monaco, and they'll be even lower in the difficult conditions today. 19 corners make up this famous 2-mile track, and with the rain, it'll be even harder than usual to get that critical heat into the tyres. Don't be surprised if we see a safety car at some point during the Grand Prix. It's not going to be plain sailing for our drivers today, although with the sky falling as it is, perhaps sailing isn't too far from the truth. Anthony Davidson, could be a wet one today. Great to have you with us. What are your thoughts?
It is a touch damp, isn't it? Well, as a driver, there are 3 big things to worry about when racing in these kind of conditions: standing water, tyre temperature and visibility. Judging distance to the cars around you is really tricky when you're driving through the vast amounts of spray that these wet weather Pirelli tyres kick up.
Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he starts from pole position. And it's Pierre Gasly in P2. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Norris, Hamilton, Charles Leclerc and Bottas, Ricciardo, Sainz, the Golden Boy, and Antonio Giovinazzi, Russell, Joe, Sebastian Vettel and Ocon, Eilert, Lundgaard, Nicholas Latifi and Mick Schumacher, Stroll and Yuki Tsunoda. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
There you saw the grid, and we are ready to go. Lights out in Monaco, and you see the rain falling. It's going to be starting as a wet tire compound start here, so I'm not sure how this one's going to go. It's going to be, like I said, nearly impossible to pass. The start is really our only opportunity until the rain lets up, and it is going to get dry in this race. So we will be making a pit stop at least to the dry compound at some point, but who knows when that is going to be. But we did move up one spot due to Sebastian Vettel getting a grid penalty. He had a mechanical failure in the last episode, and overall Sebastian Vettel's just had a miserable start to this season here now, as I think he might still even be looking for his first points on the season, if I am not mistaken here now, as we are ready though to get going green here as Max Verstappen is on pole. It's going to be 5 red lights. Verstappen, Gasly, Norris, the top 3. It's lights on. We are underway in these slow and wet weather conditions in the Monaco GP. Not ideal for the such prestigious weekend here as we head down into turn 1, and pretty clean here. Everybody's kind of giving space. You see the Mercedes and the Ferrari side by side right there. That's Bottas now, and he is going to move his way in front, I believe, of Charles Leclerc. That is now, as you can see though, that our teammate of Daniel Ricciardo, he's scrapping it out with a Ferrari. So we got Ferrari really scrapping it out on this start. Carlos Sainz around the outside of the Australian of Ricciardo. They continue side by side here. Now, as I had a good view of it myself, I was directly in behind these two drivers now, wondering who's going to come out on top as we head into this like 15 to 20 mile per hour hairpin. It was so slow in the rain. Look at this. It looks like everybody's just about stopping here. Yellow flags were flying because we were going slow. It was unbelievably slow there. Yuki Tsunoda all the way at the back of the grid there with some grid penalties as well, so not where he wants to be starting in a race where it's going to be basically impossible to pass with the conditions that we have been presented. And by the time it gets dry, without a safety car, it's going to be too late for him to make up really any actual ground anyways. 3 races complete this season. Surprisingly, not a single safety car has been thrown, and the safety car has never been touched in this career mode. It's been on increase this whole time, and we usually expect to see a safety car nearly every race, but we ended last season pretty calm and clean, and we started this season pretty calm and clean, and I'm curious to see what the trends are going to continue to be throughout this season. But you can see that Ricciardo eventually, of course, got past Carlos Sainz, and here I am just chilling in behind the Spaniard and knowing that I can't really do anything. So we started 9th. Well, we're still 9th at the end of this first and opening lap, and I knew at this point it's more or less just kind of hold on here, maybe pounce on an opportunity if Sainz has a really big slip up, makes a big error, but that's going to be hard to do as well when it's just really slow racing at this point. So I knew it's just all about being patient, holding my ground, maybe pit a couple laps earlier if we have an opportunity to slip onto that intermediate tire and maybe try and undercut on some drivers, and as well when we're making that transition to the dry conditions and whatnot. But other than that, it's going to be so hard to move our way forwards, and that was being proven. As we can see now on lap 4, I'm still stuck behind Carlos Sainz. Ricciardo had pulled about 2.5 seconds out in front at this point here, so I had more pace than Carlos. I was proving that very easily, but obviously Carlos not entitled to move over. Even if we share the same birthday, he's still not entitled to move over for me here as we continue in behind the Ferrari now, as I was getting a little bit aggravated. And then we come through to lap 5, same deal. I'm right on that gearbox of Sainz, but obviously just can't really make anything happen here now, as I would have quite a moment though as we went down into turn 1 on lap 7 here on the exit of the corner. I actually lose some grip coming up here on the hill, and look at that. That was nearly a race ending moment right there, but fortunately we kept it going in the right direction, and I had to kind of take a moment to breathe. And then actually I fell off drastically after this. You can see the conditions improving, so I made the call to Jeff lap 7. Let's come in right now, put the intermediate compound on because the conditions were improving quite a bit and quite quickly. So I come in earlier than everybody in hopes that this is going to maybe allow me to do the undercut, but it also depends on where we come out in traffic. So the intermediate compound goes on. We head out here and hope for the best, but unfortunately I'm looking at the track map and I see Lance Stroll, I see Yuki Tsunoda, they're coming by right now. I'm going to be stuck behind them. So now the undercut is pretty unlikely because I'm stuck in all this traffic, unfortunately, here. So I was not very impressed about this, and it was my fault. I made the call to come in, and you can see I'm stuck behind Tsunoda, I'm stuck behind Stroll. Our teammate of Ricciardo and many others were on the pit lane now, putting on the intermediate compound tire, and I was coming out behind them all because I was stuck here. So I get the elbows out, side by side, wheel to wheel with Yuki Tsunoda here down into turn 1, and it's close quarters racing, but we nearly make contact, but we keep it clean here, and we still have great scraps with Yuki Tsunoda going all the way back to Jeddah in the last season here. Now, as we're going to have to get very aggressive here, make a lunge up the inside of the fellow Canadian of ours, Lance Stroll here, up the inside of that Haas Maserati, and sure enough, we move up now into the 11th position, just behind Daniel Ricciardo here now. So we still have a lot of work to do to get our ways back up to Daniel Ricciardo. At the end of lap 9, though, here comes Max Verstappen, who's been in control of this Monaco GP from start to finish. He has now put on that intermediate compound. Lewis Hamilton in as well, bringing his teammate Valtteri Bottas, who's going to try the double stack, but obviously you can see he is held up quite significantly. Hamilton actually comes out inside of Charles Leclerc in real life. That certainly would not have ended well here, as we would come through ourselves to set the fastest lap of the GP. We get in front of Carlos Sainz, so hey, there we go. The undercut actually worked to some extent there, as we were able to get in front of the Ferrari drivers. So now it's just myself and Daniel Ricciardo, but once again, you can see, well, the conditions, they're still wet here, so it's basically impossible to pass. So I was kind of stuck here in P8. We gained 1 position so far in this GP. Ricciardo, he's gained, I think, no positions, actually. I think he still started 7th, if I'm not mistaken here. Verstappen would come through to now set the fastest lap of the GP, but just look at the slow crawl right here through this hairpin, down to 20 miles, 19 miles per hour, actually, there. Ricciardo, Bottas, Leclerc, all up here just in front of us now as we come through to lap 17, just kind of remaining calm, remaining patient here. There's nothing we can do about this situation at this point, and just hope maybe some strategy plays into our favor, maybe an odd safety car at the right time, which allows me to head into the pit lane real quick and catch everybody off guard, comes out, but I wasn't really expecting a safety car at this point either, so it was just all a waiting game at this point here. Now just get through this middle portion of the race and let the track dry up, because the track was drying because the weather, of course, moving away, the rain getting later and later and later as these laps go on, and it was just a matter of a couple of laps at this point until the track was going to be dry enough for a dry compound tire, and that would come very quick here. Lap 23, you can see the track has gotten a lot better, and actually Jeff came up with a strategy to pit this lap, but the unfortunate issue is Daniel Ricciardo is directly in front of me, so he gets to pit before I do. I think, you know what, it's Monaco. I'm going to stay out an extra lap instead of take the time loss on the double stack because I don't want to be caught up in traffic. Verstappen, Gasly, everybody had already come in, and then at the end of this lap, actually, Carlos Sainz would have an engine failure here in the Ferrari. That's going to take him out of the Monaco GP. As that was happening, I was now finally making my way into the pit lane. Verstappen, he was already out in front of me anyways, even after coming in for the dry compound tire, so he put on that soft compound Sainz, unfortunately, out here as we are going to exit behind Daniel Ricciardo. Now, fortunately, we didn't actually lose any positions making that extra lap on the intermediate compound tire, but we were a ways behind Ricciardo, 2.7 seconds behind him here as I come through to put in the fastest lap of the GP. You notice the key difference. I'm on a soft tire, everybody else is on a medium tire, and I felt like that was actually probably the wrong move here. Now, as we come through to lap 27, yellow flags up ahead of us here in the tunnel. It's actually going to be for our teammate of Daniel Ricciardo. He is going to be pulling over to the side. You see smoke pour out of the back of that McLaren Vodafone, and he is out of the Monaco GP. So that will be 4 GPs for Ricciardo, 2 wins, 2 retirements here due to a mechanical issue, 3 retirements for McLaren overall, including myself in Bahrain. So that is not the R&D that we want on this team here. And now that is not going to help us by any means. And we're coming into these closing laps. I decided, you know what, I'm just going to pit again, throw the medium compound tire on, because I didn't have the fastest lap anymore, and I knew I had a pit stop that I could use without getting passed by anybody like Guan Yu Zhou in the Audi team, who's in the points right now, by the way. But I actually also had to replace my front wing because I picked up some wing damage here. So we put on the medium compound tire, and now the goal was just set the fastest lap of the race, and actually would do that pretty easily, and then I would actually back it up with another fastest lap right here with 2 laps to go in Monaco. Now, unfortunately, everything has kind of gone against us here at McLaren today, and it's gone in favor directly of Red Bull and AlphaTauri, Aston Martin, Mercedes, and whatnot, and this is really going to close up the championship battle here as Max Verstappen already coming through down the front straightaway to win the Monaco GP for Red Bull Racing. His sister team teammate of Pierre Gasly is going to come through for a second place finish, and Lando Norris, Verstappen's direct teammate, will be P3 rounding off the podium. Hamilton just short there in 4th place. Leclerc will be 5th, and then Valtteri Bottas will be in the 6th position. But it's going to be myself here, at least rebounding to a decent 7th place finish. Guan Yu Zhou for the Audi team. The brand new Audi team is going to bring home some points from the looks of it here. Now, what a performance by them as we come through, though, ourselves down this front straightaway to get a respectable 7th place finish for the situation we were found in after qualifying. I'm pretty happy with a 7th place finish. You know, passing was just so tough here now, as I'm pretty overall happy with the job we did today as Yuki Tsunoda wins Driver of the Day. Let's head to the podium.
It was a magnificent race and a drive right out of the top draw to take the win for Red Bull today. Talk to me, Ant. What was it that set them apart from the competition today?
I feel like consistency was probably the key today. There's being quick, and then there's being quick lap after lap after lap. If you can do that, you can capitalise on other people's errors without making many of your own. And that's an approach that can push you a long way up the field.
Red Bull are our winners today after showcasing some incredible driving. There's been a huge push from them lately to stay competitive with the other teams, and they're certainly proving themselves.
There you saw the podium celebrations, and Yuki Tsunoda won Driver of the Day by like gaining 4 positions or something like that. Where did he even finish? Yuki Tsunoda, oh, he finished 12th, so he gained like 7 or 8 positions still. Nonetheless, a great performance by him. But look at this now. Verstappen takes the point lead, 4 points over Norris, 5 points over Ricciardo and Gasly, and 7 points over myself. 5 drivers under a blanket after 4 GPs. We unfortunately lose the Constructors' Championship lead as well. Just today wasn't the greatest day for McLaren, and it all stemmed from Q3. That's where it came from, because we had good pace. It's just unfortunately in Q3, both myself and Ricciardo had rough efforts, and if we go by the trends right now, Ricciardo started the season with a win, a DNF, a win, a DNF, so I would have to think that we're going to go into the next episode in Azerbaijan and Ricciardo might win there, but watch out for that Aston Martin engine. They could really have an opportunity to bring themselves into the championship fight in that next episode if last season is an indicator of anything there, so watch for Vettel and Giovinazzi. But as always, if you guys enjoyed, you know what to do. I'd like to thank you all for taking the time of your day for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one for Azerbaijan. Have a great day, everybody.